Hello, this is Alex, and I'm very happy to be here with you in Vue Toronto. I hope you're having a lot of fun in this conference and that you're learning a lot. I know that this is not the same that being on site and see each other, like face to face. I wish we can do it soon, but still I'm pretty happy I can be with you here and sharing my last endeavors on Nuxt 3. So let's go straight for it. Welcome to my talk going Nitro. Use Nuxt 3 and Storyblok to create your next generation website. And despite the name, I want to ask you, do you really want to know what's the great deal about Nuxt 3? What are the coolest features, in my opinion? Or how can you use them to build content-based websites? Then let me tell you that you are in the right place. So let's go for it. I'm Alex Jover, I'm Vue.js creator and developer relations at Storyblok. And I describe myself as a nomad soul human. So I like a lot to travel and be here and there with friends. In Spain, I organized the Vue Day conference and Alicante frontend meetup. So if you ever come around here, let me know, please, and let's meet each other. You can write me on the Twitter handle you see down here. Let's now talk about the features that I found the coolest on Nuxt 3. I'm pretty sure other people, like the Chopping Brothers or other speakers in this conference, they might have talked already about it, so let's just showcase them and go quickly over them. The first I like the most is the native composition API. Since Nuxt 3 is built on top of Vue 3, we can use this very cool script setup syntax, which I can tell you it will save you a lot of code. You can access these use composition APIs or unmounted or a lot of cool things without the need to import them. And that brings us to the next point, auto imports. If you had used Nuxt 2, you could remember that you could auto-import components, so you don't have to do it manually in the script setup, in the script tag, not in the script setup. Now you can do it as well with Nuxt core utils, like this use runtime config. You can do it with your own composables that I will show you later. And you can literally import the whole Vue use functions and other external libraries straight away. An extra point for Nuxt 3 is that you don't need to import and register plugins like you used to have to do in Nuxt 2 in the Nuxt config. About fetching data, we have two functions that comes natively with Nuxt 3, use fetch and use assign data. If you take a look at this code down here, they are totally equivalent. So you are wondering, which one should I use, Alex? I will tell you, for most of the cases, just go for use fetch, because it's just a higher level wrapper for use assign data. And something I'm very impressed, and I tweet a lot about it if you follow me, is the amazing DX that comes with Nuxt 3. Nuxt 3 uses both Byte and Webpack. Byte has a really super speed and DX experience, but Webpack has maturity. So what Nuxt 3 does is it uses Byte by default, and you can even pass some options in the Nuxt config like you see it here. But you can also say Byte false, and then Nuxt 3 will use Webpack. And this is the hidden gem, really, about Nuxt 3. The Nitro engine, which is the core server engine that Nuxt 3 uses under the hood. And this is what makes it a true hybrid framework. But hey, Alex, what do you mean by a true hybrid framework? You remember in Nuxt 2, you have this server-side rendering mode and static-side generation mode. In Nuxt 3, you have even both combined at the same time. With Nitro, you could also write right away serverless functions inside Nuxt. This is powered by H3, which is a very thin and powerful framework that Nitro uses under the hood to create these serverless Lambda functions. And you can do it in two ways. You have the server directory with the API directory and the middleware directory under it. The files that you put in API, they are single endpoints, but the ones you put in middleware, they are run on every request, just like Express does. The syntax is similar to this one you see on the right. So it's just a normal function where you can use assign await. You can use some utilities like use body, use query, use cookies as well, and you just have to return an object. That's all. So let's say that if you write a file hello.js under server API folder, that will map to your domain.com or whatever /API/hello. And that's it. Both Vercel or Netlify, for example, will run them as serverless functions. And the last thing, which I really like and will make your life very easy, is the presets of Nitro. And this is for deployment. So let's say you want to deploy your application to Vercel or Netlify. What do you have to do? Nothing at all. It just works because both Vercel and Netlify, they will recognize it's a Nuxt3 application and they will configure themselves. What about Azure? Then you can use the Azure Functions preset. Same for Cloudflare Workers. And same for Firebase. But even if you want to deploy it to your own server, you have 4 manual presets. Server, to run Nuxt in a Node server. Node, which can be confusing name, but is for running Nuxt in a middleware function on a server. Lambda, for running it as a serverless function. And Worker, for running Nuxt in a service worker. That's possible. I didn't even know it at the beginning, but yeah, with Nitro it's possible. And this is the part that I like the most. So at this point, you might be already convinced that Nuxt3 is powerful, right? It's even more powerful when you combine it with a headless CMS like a Storyblok. And this is what I call a true Jamstack first combo. And here at this point, I have something for you. I have a special announcement I've been wanting to do for weeks already, which is that Storyblok goes V3. So we just recently released the Storyblok Nuxt version of the module for Nuxt3. And we didn't only do that. We also rename all of our V1 Nuxt libraries. So now you will find them under @Storyblok/V1 Nuxt. And for the V3 version of V1 Nuxt, you will have to install it from the Next stack. What does this mean, Alex? How can I use a Storyblok in Nuxt 3? Just 3 steps. First, you need to install it with our peer dependency Axios. Then you have to add it to the Nuxt modules. And finally, and I'm pretty excited about this, you can use the useStory API and the useStoryBridge new composition functions that we deliver for you. With useStory API, you could interact with the Storyblok data. And with useStoryBridge, I don't know if you remember, there was like a chunk of code like this if you want to do this. But now it's just one line of code. And this, the useServerBridge, is useful for bringing the real-time editing experience to Storyblok. And you're going to see about that right now, because now is demo time. So I prepared a demo, so let's go into practice mode. And at this point, I was thinking, what can I do for a demo for you? If you remember at the beginning, I told you I'm Viewdose creator. And if you don't know Viewdose, it's a website where you can find tips on Vue, on Nuxt, on web performance, which are written either by me or with some other awesome authors. So, literally, I curated a clone of Viewdose, which I call Vue3. And the name after it, yeah, it's something funny, because I'm from Spain. And in Spain, Viewdose is spelled like Vue12. And 12 is a funny way to say 12. So 13 is a funny way to say 13 in Spanish. Okay, given the funny fact said, let's go to this demo. So here we will find in the homepage 3 sections. The feature articles, where we will see 2 articles of our choice. Then we see the offer of the book. And then we see all the rest of the articles. And the interesting point here is that when I told you that this is a clone of Viewdose, it's literally a clone because it's using the same Storyblok space or data that the official Viewdose uses. We have also the article page, which is just the title, author, and the content of the article itself. But there is this small thing that you see here, 6 reads, and this is coming from a serverless function. So let me show you how all of this is implemented. And what better way to do it than doing it from the Storyblok visual editor. As you can see here, I'm not sure if you are familiar from Storyblok. If you are not, I will send you some links by the end of the talk so you will know how to create spaces or projects in Storyblok, how you can create schemas to create data and content, and how to use the visual editor itself. But I want to show you here the most important part. This is the real website. It's loaded from localhost. So this is not just kind of mock design, it's the real website. But on top of it, as you can see, you can interact with this. And this is thanks to the story bridge I showed you before. Here, as a content creator or manager, you can come and you can select other articles. Let's say I don't want to have Posba or Eduardo, as you can know him. Article in here, so I will put mine, or yeah, maybe I want to have his article back. So I'm just going to add it here. You can interact with the title, and you can change literally everything you want to change. And this is structured in 3 components. So we have here the features article section, the offer banner, and the article section. We could add other blocks. We call them blocks to this section or components. Literally, you can even come here and from the menu, duplicate it. Wow, we have font tab maybe. And you see, you can even drag and drop it. You can come here, make this white. Yeah, whatever. You can play here with the content as a content creator. And now the question is, Alex, how is this implemented in the front end? Because all of this is a Nuxt 3 application. Let me show you. And before, I'm going to delete this offer banner. Yes. So this is an application that I created from scratch in Nuxt 3. And it's very simple, really. It has 4 folders: components, composables, pages, and server. Oh, and I'm not sure if you remember, but in Nuxt 2, you had the layouts folder where you had a default layout. In Nuxt 3, if you only have one layout, you can literally use the app.view, which is the root component, for that. So here, I have the header, which is the part you see here, the green header up there. And then with the Nuxt page, we can throw there all the content from the view router. Let's start with not with the server, but with the homepage, which is in index component. Okay, the key here is this component tag. If you don't know it, this is the way in Vue to create a dynamic component. So basically, it's a component for loading other components with this is property that we are looping from this state. So before that, let me tell you something, because maybe you are wondering now, how can I interact with Storyblok? So how can I really get this page structure into Nuxt? Simple. Storyblok has an API, and that's the way you interact with it. So here we created a body property on the page with these 3 components. That's why here in the API you see body, which is an array. And in here, you can see the components, feature articles, offer banner, and with all the data under these properties. In this way, I'm actually using use story API to interact with that content. I'm fetching the homepage data, and I'm creating a reactive state from it. So from this story state, I'm looping the content.body key, which you can see here, content body. And then I'm reading the component key and loading the component from it. So in the components folder, I have the article sections, feature articles, and offer banner implemented, and the name matches. That's why you can come here to a Storyblok editor and add more blocks of any way, as long as they are implemented here in the front end. Another interesting part is the use story bridge that I mentioned before. This is what you use in combination of this the editable directive to make this real-time experience connected from your Nuxt application and Storyblok. Basically, you just have to pass your story ID, and when there is a change, whether you change something in this input, or you save, or you publish the story, then this callback function will be called with the updated story. And all you have to do is just update your state from that. It's important to know that what makes this interactive is this v-editable directive that is installed for you when you install and configure the Nuxt Storyblok module. You only have to pass the content of the block, and that's it. You don't have to do anything else. That's why you can interact also with these components, because they have the v-editable with the block data on them. That's really it for the homepage. So now let me show you the one of the articles. So I just navigated to this route, and we have a different page for it. And in this case, you see these brackets because this is a dynamic route. And since it's a dynamic route, because every article has a different path, first, we have to use useRoute to take this slag from the parameters, which have to match with the name you write for the file name. Then we use Storyblok, Story API, to get the article story from it. We make it reactive again, and yeah, and that's it. And then we render it. In this case, the article has a big Markdown file. And this is something I really like a lot, because I like working with Markdown. I find it pretty easy, simple, but powerful. And I want to tell you that, yeah, I don't want to tell you about the schemas in a Storyblok right now, but just very quickly, you can define the fields, like in a database table, the fields that your content has. And this content property we define it from a native Markdown type field that Storyblok has for you. So back to here. Oh, by the way, you can also pre-visualize the Markdown and see how it's rendered in the field itself. But as you can see, this is plain Markdown. Then here in your Nuxt application, what you need to do is to parse that Markdown into HTML. And for that, I just created a composable function called useMarkdown, which really uses the parse function from Marked, which is one of the many libraries you have out there to parse Markdown. And since all the files you put in the composable folder are auto-imported, I just can use it here. And for that, I used a computed property to call parse from useMarkdown that I define. And in that way, you just parse the content and use it here in the VHTML property in this article field. Tag, sorry. And that's all you need. Here, you could also interact with the title. We could change the author, whatever. Oh, this is a very interesting thing. You see that here, this author field, it's a relation with the rest of the authors we have in the content. So, oh, well, I can tell you, I can show you from here. In the content of Storyblok, I have the home page, I have the articles, but I also have an authors page. And here is where I define all the authors, like Alba in this case, or whatever. In this case, then you can create relations and put them in a field. So from this field, I can choose the authors. That's why here you see these resolve relations, because when we query the API of an article, we will see that the author is just a UID. And to fill all the data, because we want to have everything of the article here, we want to have the author, sorry. We want to have the image, the name, and all the data. Then you have to use these resolve relations, and it will be resolved for you, so that you don't have to do an extra query. You can do the same with the bridge, and when the story is updated, you will receive it here as well. And last but not least, I want to show you this small read thing, because this is coming from a serverless API. That's why, as many times as I reload it, it's still counting, so the data will be preserved. And as I showed you before in the Nitro section, to do this, you only have to create this server folder API and count.js. And basically what I'm doing here is storing in memory, in a map, the counts of the visits for every path, for every different article. That's why if I go back and go to another article, it will have a different views content. And the power of this, because this is just a views counter, is that with serverless function, you can bring real and huge functionality to a Jamstack application like this one, like login, auth, payments with Stripe. You can really do a lot of things here. So that's basically it from the demo. And I'm coming back here. At this point, I want to tell you something. I know this is a lot of information, really a lot. I've been talking for a lot of time, and it's hard to grasp everything. That's why you will find in this repository the demo to play yourself with it. You will find exactly the same project that you can just download. You can query the Storyblok API. You can use the Nuxt Storyblok module, which is already there configured for you. And in the repo, you will find also some articles to know how to create a project in Storyblok, all the data you need and all extra information to build this kind of demo for yourself from scratch. You will find it there. I also want to mention that in Storyblok, at this link, we had the Nuxt Hub. And there is where you will find all the articles and the content we post about Nuxt. You will find also how we created and published and which endeavors and challenges we found to release the Nuxt 3 module of Storyblok, and many more information from me, from my colleague Samuel, and from other people. At this point, and just to finish, I want to tell you that we offer you in this conference exclusively a free premium 3 months account of Storyblok. So Storyblok, at least currently, has and probably will always have a free account, but we offer here 3 free months where you can try all the features from Storyblok. Just follow the link, fill the form, and you will have access for it. And I have nothing else to say. I'm really thankful to be here, and thank you for everything, for being here, for trying out. Let me know, please. I'm pretty interested. What are you going to build with Storyblok, with Nuxt 3? So please, write me a message on Twitter. Don't be shy. And I will hear what are you doing. Thank you very much. Gracias.